So, have you guys seen the video of Jungkook's live recently? For anyone who might not know, if I explain the context, he was on live talking with the fans, and fans kept asking him, "Can you use English? Can you speak English?" And Jungkook said, "Stop telling me to speak in English. I like speaking Korean." He went through the translator and he spoke really nicely and politely, saying, "Guys, I'm really happy that you guys are here. I love you guys, but I am trying to learn English at my own pace. I'll be happy if you guys could learn Korean, and I'll also study English at my pace." I don't think there was a way he could have said it even nicer. So today, here's the thing. I already see people saying those people are annoying. I'm not trying to be like, those fans are rude. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I want to address why it would be good if you learn Korean and what I think about people who ask for those things, because I don't personally think they're rude depending on the context. So I also want to, just as a Korean person, I want to let you guys know what benefit, what kind of new world you'll be open to by learning this language. So starting with the argument, is that fan rude or annoying? Can I be honest? I don't necessarily think the person who asked Jungkook to speak English was rude. As in, when it comes to these kind of things, I think nuance of the word matters a lot. As in, if you go to someone and say, "Oh, can you speak English?" versus, "Can you speak English?" Or, "Can you please speak English?" Just by the nuance, it's very different. When you have a singer and when you request a song, I'm sure people do that with Jungkook as well. You know how there's a different nuance between sing blood, sweat, and tears, sing it, versus, "Oh, can you please sing blood, sweat, and tears?" Like, one is a request and other is a command. And I don't think he minds a request. It's, people request all kind of things to K-pop idols, such as, "Oh, can you do the heart thing? Can you do this heart? Can you do this aegyo, blah, blah, blah." I think it's fine because it's request. But I don't think it's good when you give off sort of a authority, assertive energy. "Oh, because I'm a fan and you're an idol, you should do as I command." This is not just about international fans asking K-pop idols to speak in Korean, but I actually feel this energy sometimes when you see very strong fans and they feel sort of entitled. I don't know what the right word is. They feel like they have the rights to command their idols to do something because they spent a lot of money or things like that. And sometimes it's an issue in a fan meeting. I personally don't think most requests this. It's fine for the most time, but I really think it's a matter of nuance. Yes. But when you see that live, you could kind of see that Jungkook was a little bit bothered. And I just want to clarify, I don't think the fans saying that is rude. It's fine. But, from Jungkook's perspective, he probably have to see that comment 100 times. So if it was a regular one-to-one person conversation, you asking, "Oh, can you try this?" is not an issue. But when there's 1,000 people saying, "Can you speak English?" then it makes you very sick and tired. So I don't even think it's fans' fault. It's just the way that those platforms work. And Jungkook, you can't expect him to be Jesus. You know what I mean? You guys ever get that annoying sensation when your mom tells you to clean your room, or like she tells you you should study and you are about to do it? You're about to. But then she's like, "Why aren't you cleaning your room? Or why aren't you studying?" Then you go like, "I was about to, but then you came before I even started." And I feel like it's the same way where those idols, they get the same comments over and over again. And how many people watch BTS live? Like literally 10,000s, you get the idea. So there's a valid reason why he would feel annoyed by that. And also, sometimes, I know this also because I also live stream a lot. Sometimes, depending on your mood, certain comments just stick out very rudely. Even if the person didn't intend it like, I think it's a human tendency where out of 100 nice comments, the one bad comment sticks out and it just catches your eye. So I also feel like that's why people have to be extra careful. So I just didn't want to say like the fans asking that was a rude behavior. Neither do I think it's wrong for Jungkook to be annoyed by that. Yes. I had a case where a long time ago, one of the homies, you know how we bully each other all the time, said a comment that was like bullying. And at the time, my roommate Sean was on stream and he was filming me for the stream and he saw that comment. And it was a comment saying something like, "Sean, like shut up and film Hyosang," or something like that. But the thing is, I swear the person who said it is like the nicest homie ever that I know in my life. But then Sean saw that comment and Sean felt hurt. So Sean told me, "Oh, Hyosang, I don't think I could do a live stream like you because like those comments, I don't know if they intended it to be mean or funny, but for me, it shocked me. Like it catched my eye." And here's the thing. I'm sorry to that Hyomi for bringing it up again. That Hyomi is literally the nicest Hyomi I know. I'm telling you guys, they're literally the nicest Hyomi in our entire Hyomis. Like I'm serious. I'm actually serious. So Nuance sometimes doesn't get delivered over online. And going further with these Nuance talk, this, in my opinion, is why, if you're someone who enjoys K-pop idol or K-pop music, is why you should try learning Korean. Because when you try to translate certain languages, these nuances sometimes change so much. You know how you could literally have the same sentence, depending on how you speak it, the feeling changes? Imagine how much gets lost in the translation. Not only is there nuance lost in the lyrics that you listen to, but also people tear apart idols for every little thing they say. Literally, they breathe wrong and people are like, how could you do that? And I always get so upset when there's a mistranslation and people tear apart idol for mistranslation. Because if you actually know Korean and you understand the nuance of that context, you would know, oh, like this is a joke, like they're playing around. But then it's like, I mentioned this before, but you know how on Twitter or on Instagram, there's a translate button? And sometimes those translate button give you totally different translate, like totally different vibe. And also, you know how in languages, there are jokes, like humor and jokes is, in my opinion, the hardest thing to be translated. Because in order for you to understand humor, you need to have a same background, cultural background, understand why this is funny, because humor comes from irony. But in order to understand that, you have to understand why that language works that way. So you get the idea. So that's kind of how I think about why fans should learn. And going into the live space, you know how it was Jungkook's live? I feel like what makes it a little bit different there is because it was a live stream. So you guys know whenever BTS go to award ceremonies, RM as well as other members, they try their best to speak in English. They don't go like, I'm not going to speak any English because I'm Korean. They always make good effort. But I feel like when they do live stream, it's different from people like me. You know, I stream full time almost. But for those people, they do all their world tour, concert, all of that, and they come back home. You could tell that they just want to relax and talk to fans. You could literally tell from the energy, right? They just go like, oh, like, what do you guys want to listen to? And I don't really feel like they would want to be applied in that public standard, even when they're talking with the fans. So I feel like even though a lot of idols try to speak English even on live stream, if you let them speak in Korean, then you'll probably get more relaxing and funny side of them. Yes. On top of that, I think another member that I know who asks people to speak in Korean a lot is Sunghoon from ENHYPEN. I don't know if you guys have ever seen his live or bubble or things like that. There are certain members that are very adamant on the fans to speak Korean. And I feel like it's not because they're rude. It's not, like, I swear. It's not because they're rude. They actually want to promote people to learn Korean. A little bit of history lesson. I don't know which country you guys come from. Is English your first language, guys? Well, for me, English isn't my first language. And everyone here would know, if you're born in a country as not first language being English, almost always at school or whether for work, whatever the context is, you have to learn English. Do you guys agree? If you're a Korean speaker, if you're a Chinese speaker, if you're a Spanish speaker, they always learn English. Not even like necessarily to professional level, but we at least know how to communicate. But English speaking countries don't necessarily have a must-learn language. They just kind of stick with only one language for the rest of their life. And what I feel like that does is it actually not just makes you, oh, monolingual, bilingual. Language is the world that you're exposed to. If you only know how to speak one language, that's almost as if you're seeing the world in one color only. And it makes you a little bit more, not just language-wise, but culturally close-minded, because you could only see things from one language's perspective. And I actually think US or just any English-speaking countries in general should promote the second language learning. So as a result, you know, at school, they try to teach you Latin or German or things like that. But I feel like they're not enforcing it strong enough. In comparison to Korea, guys, you start learning English at what age? Like 5, 7. It's in the school curriculum since elementary school, first grade. And I actually feel like in US schools, them only teaching 3 years at high school? That's bad because language, the best timing to learn language is at young age. but you literally make them spend until like 15 years of their life only speaking English, and then they try to learn Spanish or German for 1 or 2 years. Nothing's gonna stay in the brain. Guys, I'll be honest, I forgot everything that I learned in Latin class in high school. I only know like arete or something like that. So the issue is timing, but this is a little bit more about America's education. I don't think I could go further about this. The topic is more of K-pop. And now I want to actually address the situation in a more positive light. As in, guys, whenever I see idols like Sunghoon or Jungkook or any other idols asking to, speak in Korean for their fans, I feel so proud. I feel so patriotically proud. So you guys know I'm Korean. I grew up in Korea. I came to America as an immigrant. And it almost felt obvious that, if I'm Korean, then I should learn English. But then they became so internationally proudly popular that now we could ask non-Korean speaker to learn Korean. They have raised this tiny country's reputation so high. Guys, this is crazy. I don't know if you guys ever come from a smaller country, but back in the days, even now, people couldn't even locate where Korea was on the map. Going a little bit further into my dad's generation, when they came to other countries like America, people used to be like, Korea? Is that part of China? That's like literally what people used to say. Or like Korean War? That's like the only thing they know. So not only did they put Korea on the map, but also now they're making these other people learn Korean? Reverse colonization? Okay, so I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm literally joking. I feel so proud. Oh my gosh. And I think it's also because they have that patriotic sensation as well. Now, let me tell you why it's good for you to learn Korean. Because when you try to learn a new language, have you ever thought about this? As in, if I learn this, is this going to be useful? Because language isn't some pretty looking figure, it's something that you actually use. If you use it and if you learn it well, you could use it on your resume, you could use it on your new career path. So usefulness when it comes to language is really important. And what do you guys think is the most useful language to learn beside English? I would say Spanish, and then Mandarin, maybe French. Those are some nice languages to learn. What is the common point in all of these languages? Is that there is high population. A lot of countries in the world use these languages. That's why it makes it useful. And when it comes to Korean or Japanese, it's the totally opposite way. Because who speaks Korean besides Korean? Nobody. It's useless in the sense of outside of Korea. Outside of Korea, Korean's useless is what I used to think. Now, hear me out. When it comes to language, learning a language that is niche might actually make you more competitive in the market. For example, if you go out there and you try to find a Spanish speaker, how many people would you be able to find? Like a whole bunch, okay? But then if you go out there, even in America, try to find someone who speaks Arabic. It's already hard, right? Especially someone who doesn't come from Arabic background to speak Arabic. That's so rare. Can you guys imagine a Korean person speaking Arabic language? That population is so low. But then there's always a case where you need that person and you try to look for it, but there's no one. So learning a niche language actually makes you more competitive because there's always a demand when it comes to translation or communication, and your understanding of Korean is going to make you stand out in comparison to other people who speaks more commonly used language. And another thing, anyone who might be watching this video or watching my live generally is someone who is interested in Korean culture, right? Whether musical, whether culturally. And I feel like, I don't know what job you guys have or what job you guys plan to have. If you had an opportunity to work in a field related to this, you guys wouldn't reject, right? Like for example, imagine if you could work as a stylist for one of the K-pop idol company. Imagine if you could work with Korean food product company. You'd be more inclined. Naturally, guys, careers in our life, even though people choose by money, I also feel you naturally lean towards the things that you're interested in. And for you to learn Korean would have a much higher chance of it being useful than just random person learning Korean. So if you just pick a random person in America, the chance of them working with Korean person or Korean company is low. But you guys actually have a really high chance because you're already interested in that chance. Interested in that field. Same thing with Japanese, same thing with Mandarin. So I'm not trying to scam Korean here. I genuinely think it'll be useful for you guys to learn Korean. And now, outside of Korea, going into this more hobby level, I think lyrics is probably going to be the number one thing that you could enjoy by learning Korean. You know how many times I get frustrated whenever I go to, what's that website, Genius? Or, you know those websites that post Korean translation? I get so frustrated because their translation skills are so bad. It's not wrong, but it literally loses all the jokes, all the fun meanings in it, and I don't blame them because they might not know. And sometimes I don't even know which pun rappers intended in their song. Like for example, you know when you listen to Stray Kids songs, the Three Rachas, they use a lot of puns in their song, as well as Hongjung or even, you know, entire BTS rap line. But translation, you lose so much of that. But if you know the language, you don't have to go like this late aha moment. You know what it feels like whenever I try to explain those puns to you guys? It's like as if you guys ever had a situation where you have a joke and you tell a joke and the person doesn't understand it. So you have to like explain the joke. And then they're like, oh, I get it. That's funny. It's not funny anymore. It's not funny when you explain out the joke. It's the same way with the lyrics, where if you see the lyrics and there's a pun, it's like funny. But then when I go like, oh, this word means moon in Korean, is synonym to this word, then it's like, oh, I guess it's smart, you know? It's not, yeah. And also, I'm sure if any of you guys are Duolingo here, we already have a lot of people who speak multiple languages, right? You guys are aware, languages don't match one-to-one. Sometimes people who only speak one language never know about this. They think all languages match one-to-one. Languages aren't built to match one-to-one. And what's so interesting about language is different culture have different reason and history behind why they use certain words. So even very simple word like happy and sad, any multilingual here would agree. When you try to translate the emotions, happy, sad, anxious, you have to think about it. What kind of happy is this? What kind of sad is this? Because depending on like the nuance of that emotion, the word you have to use in the other language changes. And a lot of the times, in my opinion, English is simplified language. You call everything stuff and everything's good, everything's happy or weird. I personally feel like the languages, the vocabularies in US are very broad. Weird could mean so much. Good can mean so much. I'm not saying you shouldn't have broad words because broad words have a meaning, but there's a lack of specific words when it comes to English. And the thing is, it does exist if you look into the dictionary, but do people really use that term in real life? Not really. In comparison to other cultures, in Korea, there are more specific emotions that people use on daily basis. And I think it has to do with sort of cultural difference. Because in Korea, people care about a little bit more smaller details when it comes to emotion in comparison to, I feel like, in America. That's why we say weird instead of weird. That's so funny. Because when you say weird, you don't exactly know which weird you're talking about. So you have to emphasize by saying, oh, that's like weird. Instead of having another word for it. Obviously, from someone who's learning English, it could be easy because you just have to go like, good, this is good, you know, then it solves all the problem. And it's a little bit difficult when you try to go from English to Korean, as in, why is this good and this is also good? And they try to tell you, oh, this good means like when you're good, but your friend is sad. This good is when you're good and your family is also happy. you know what I mean? And I feel like with lyrics, because lyrics is art, those kind of nuances, you'll be able to understand how beautifully, well, not all K-pop lyrics are beautiful. Sometimes there's ones with no meanings whatsoever, but yes, you'll be able to understand the more poetic ones. And another thing is not only K-pop, but anyone here watch K-drama or Korean movies? Dramas, I feel like once you learn, then you don't have to watch the subtitle, right? You don't have to watch the caption. Guys, it makes it so much more fun. As a professional anime watcher, I'm sure anime watchers here could relate as well. You know, it's so easy when you could a little bit understand the language, because if you can't understand it at all, then while you watch it, you can't even cook. Because the moment you take your eyes off from the screen, you don't know what they're talking about. But then when you get it, then even if you're like turned away, you know what they're kind of talking about, so you keep the context. I actually think that part is really important. Obviously, I don't have to emphasize on the aspect of being able to understand the nuance. Even, do you guys agree? When you watch those drama, even knowing one word like oppa, you would know what that nuance is when someone used that term, oppa or 선배님. But when you're completely lost in that context, you would see that word and it would say brother. And like, how do you explain to someone who hasn't studied Korean what oppa means without saying it's a brother? Because do you guys agree? Oppa and brother is million miles away. Even if you say, oh, it's the term that women use to older male. That doesn't, yeah, you don't get it. Like, yeah, it doesn't explain the context. Or like 대박 or 미친 or, like those even common words. Yes. Also, adding on just a little bit more, here's a little bit of a Korean lesson. You know what I think? You know what I think is the most interesting part of Korean that doesn't exist in English? Is that English doesn't have a ending word. So when I say, I like apple, you know how the sentence ends with apple? But what does Korean sentences usually end in? 뭐뭐 하세요, 뭐뭐 다, 뭐뭐 까. You know how there's different endings? These endings aren't nouns. They're not nouns, they're not verbs. They have a totally new function beside just holding meaning of noun and verb. And it usually depicts the nuance of the sentence, the emotion of the sentence, how close you are with the person that you're speaking to. There's so much information that is condensed in that last line, which as a result, if you ever seen any Korean person try to do 애교, you know how they kind of change the end of the sentence? Like, 뭐마 하지 마. Like, can you tell the nuance difference between 하지마 versus 하지망? You get the idea, right? And the funny part is the 망 part isn't even official grammar. But that grammar just exists in Korean people's context that if you do something weird with the ending of the sentence, you would know it has a different context. Like, yeah, 잘자 or 잘장 or... Yes. Believe it or not, I do that often, not even because I want to be a cutie patootie, but I do it to soften the mood. As in, especially when you talk to people, if you kind of talk in the sense of strict formal language, then it feels too strict. So I try to kind of loosen up the vibe and be like, 그래요, 알겠어요. That's how I talk to my mom, actually. Because I don't want to sound too strict, like, 그래요, 알겠습니다, So if you guys ever see me talk to my mom, I usually roll the end of the sentence. I didn't even notice this. I just naturally did it. And I realized I do that over the years. I think it's also me being sort of a daughter-like son, Like, anyway, that's so much more to explain. But yeah, I think this should be more than enough reason for you guys to try learning Korean. I have been thinking about this, but when I do stream and content and make videos, I'll try my best to add in a little bit of a Korean lesson in there so that you guys could slowly get your Korean grammars smeared into your brain. Whenever we do lyrics analysis, whenever we have any talk, I might sound like a boring teacher, but I'll try to do that for you guys. Like today, I told you guys about the ending. Yes, that sounds good. Thank you so much. And let me know if you have any question. Hopefully today's content wasn't too short. And let me know if you have any questions. And thank you for watching.